Okay, here we are at the end of round 30. All I need to do is do my stitch in the same space as my first stitch, chain 1, join with a stitch to my first stitch, and there we go. Okay, next round you're going to get very used to by the end of the blanket. It's very easy. The first thing we do is chain 3 or our false stitch, then chain 1, skip 1 stitch, stitch in the next stitch, chain 1, skip 1 stitch. We're going to do that all the way along. So I'll meet you when we get to the first corner. Okay, here we are at the end of our first side. So I've done my last stitch along the side and into chain 1, skip 1, and that means we're now up to our 2 chain space. So I do one stitch, and this time we're going to chain 3 in the corner. Chain 3, and another stitch in the same space. So that's our corner each time. A treble 3 chain, a treble UK, or a double 3 chain, a double in US. I'll meet you when we get back to the beginning. Okay, so now here we are back at the beginning again. Just a little point so you can keep on track. Your stitches should fall in the middle of your front post stitches. You should be skipping the ones either side. Just a little trick to help make sure you're staying on track. Okay, so to finish off, I've done my last stitch, I've chained 1, so now I do a stitch in the same space as our first, which is where a little stitch marker is. Okay, now I'm going to move that there. Now because our corner spaces on this round are chain 3 chain spaces, instead of chaining 1 and joining with a stitch, we're going to chain 1 and join with a half treble UK or half double US. So yarn over, insert your hook into your top of your false stitch or your chain 3, yarn over, pull a loop through to the front, yarn over and pull through all loops. So what that means is we're now in the middle of what would be a 3 chain space, and we can work our first stitches over this stitch for our next round. So let's start our next round, which starts with 2 stitches over our joining stitch, double crochet UK, single crochet US, 1, 2, so that's the big hole where our stitch marker is. Then we do a stitch in the next stitch, and then we're going to do, in every one of these gaps in the stitch that we skipped below, we're going to do a spike double crochet or spike single crochet. And it's easy to do. You just pop your hook into the stitch, bring a loop to the front and bring it up quite tall. Yarn over, oops, sorry, I've actually cut my yarn, so it's a bit short. Yarn over, pull through 2. Then we do a stitch in the next stitch, and we do that all the way along. So make sure you pull up quite a long loop, because if you don't, you're going to be pulling this row down quite a bit. So I'll go all the way around and I'll meet you back here. Okay, here we are heading to our first corner. I just wanted to go over those spike stitches a bit more because I think I sort of glossed over a little bit. So we have a stitch in a stitch, and then we do our spike in the skipped stitch from the round below. So we insert our hook in here, bring up a long loop. You can see I've actually gone higher than the round. Yarn over, pull through 2, insert into the next stitch, spike, next stitch, spike, next stitch. Now our corner on this round is 2 stitches, chain 2, 2 stitches, double crochets if you're UK, single crochets if you're US. So 1, 2, 2 chain, and 2 more stitches. Okay, so we'll do our spike round on our other sides, and I'll meet you back here. Oh, I lost my stitch marker. Back here at the start. Okay, so here we are back around the other side. So I'm up to my last spike stitch. Stitch in the next stitch. Oops. Now we're going to finish off our corner by doing 2 stitches in the same as our first, so where our stitch marker is. Chain 1 and join to our first with a double crochet UK, single crochet US. I should have moved that stitch marker. There we go. Now the next round is super easy. We're just going to be doing a straight double crochet, single crochet round. So we start off with a stitch over the joining stitch, and then a stitch in every stitch along. There should be 71 of them. And our corners is just going to be 1 stitch, 2 chain, 1 stitch. I'm not going to show you that. I'm just going to come around and I'll meet you back here when we start the next round. Okay, here we are back around near the start of our very simple round. A couple more stitches to go. Oops. Okay, now I have to do a stitch in the same stitch as our first stitch, which is where our stitch marker is. Chain 1, I'm going to move that stitch marker now, and we're going to join with a, oops, I don't know why I did a yarn over there. Join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US, so you pull a loop to the front, yarn over through both. And that's that. That is the end of round 33. We've only got 3 more rounds to go and we'll be finished our squaring off. Don't worry about being a little bit wobbly at this point. The last couple of rounds, and these bits here in particular, they're like a little shock absorbers. They help stretch everything out. It'll all be good. So there you go. That's it. Okay, so here we go on the last 3 rounds. We've got, starting with round 34. So our first stitch is quite a long one. It's a double treble UK terms, or a triple in US terms. So I'm going to pull up a loop, do my false stitch first, or you can chain 4. It's up to you. Oops, it's a bit fiddly. Okay, now the next instruction is to do 2 more of the same stitches over the joining stitch. So where that little stitch marker is, over this double crochet, single crochet join. So what we do is yarn over twice, insert our hook, pull a loop to the front, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do that one more time. Yarn around twice, insert where that stitch marker is, pull a loop to the front, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. So that's the start done. Now we're going to go on to the side. So now we need to do a double treble or triple in the next 5 stitches. Oops. 2, 3, 4, 5, Okay, next we'll chain 5. Now you don't want to do this chain 5 tight. If you're tight chainer, just make sure you do it not loose, but just not tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have to skip 7 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in the 8th stitch, this one here, we're going to start our next group of stitches, which is 10 trebles if you're UK or doubles if you're US. 1, 2, 9, 10. Okay, next instruction is to do a half treble in the next 10 stitches, or a half double if you're in the US. So that's 1, 2, 3, 9, 10. Okay, next we do a double crochet UK or single crochet US in the next 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going back the other way, so we reverse what we did. So we've got half treble or a half double in the next 10 stitches. 1, 2, 9, 10. Now we'll do a treble or double in the next 10. 1, 2, whoops, 2, 9, oh goodness, 10. Okay, so now we're going to chain 5 again. Again, not too tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to skip 7 stitches and do a double crochet, a double treble UK or a triple US next. I'm going to wrap my yarn around twice before I start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the 8th stitch. Do a double. Now, don't worry about this bigger extra space you see here. When we work the next round, that's going to disappear. Okay, it's just what happens when you do a big stitch after a lot of chain. Okay, so we're going to do a double treble in 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we should be at the corner. And we are. Okay, so the instruction is to do 5 double treble UK or 5 triples US in that tiny 2 chain space. They will fit, don't worry. One, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5. So that's our first side and corner done. Now, when you start your next side, don't skip that first stitch. We're going to be doing a stitch. You might have to pull your corner aside to make that little loop pop up. So, all right, I'll come around, I'll work around, and I'll meet you back here at the start. It won't be long. Okay, here we are back around the other side. I've done the first of my 5 double trebles or triples. 1, so this is 2, 3, 4, Now we have to do 2 more. So we started with our false stitch and 2 stitches. We're going to do 2 more to make up the 5 for this corner. So that's where the stitch marker comes in handy. Poke your hook in exactly where that is, you'll be in the right spot. 1, 2, and we join with a slip stitch this time into the top of our 4th chain or false stitch, whichever one you decided to do. Okay, so there we have it. That's the end of round 34. Round 35 is, oh hang on, I should move the stitch marker. So the stitch marker in this case actually goes into that stitch where at the same place as that slip stitch. Just trying to poke it through. There we go. So that's going to mark our spot where we need to do our last stitches around. So the first stitch is we are doing chain 3, starting chain, or a false treble or false DC if you're UK US. Then these are quite easy, these rounds. So okay, we're going to do a treble UK or double in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, oops, I don't know the same one. 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I keep forgetting that focus at the back. 6, 7. That should be in the last stitch before your chain space. Now, the pattern for working into this chain space, normally you might see like 5 stitches in the next 5 chain in the 5 chain space. In this case, I want you to work 1 stitch into each chain. Okay, now it can be a little bit fiddly. It just gives it a little bit more solidness, a bit more sturdiness. If it's too tricky, just do 5 stitches as you normally would. But if you're up for a challenge and you want a bit of more sturdy work, what we're going to be doing is inserting our hook into that bottom loop of the chain and working our stitch. So it's a treble or double, UK US. So that's 1. So now into that bottom, I kind of angle my hook downwards and it seems to pop in quite well. 2, 3, oops, 4, 'This is why it was important not to do tight chains when you're in the previous round. 5. So there you go. So you can see each stitch has a little, it's secured in each of the chain spaces. Whereas this one here, we just worked straight in over the chain space. So it's up to you which way you want to do it. I like this way for where we are in the round. Okay, so now, excuse me, we're going to do a treble UK or double US in the next 10 stitches. 1, oops, 2, 9, 10. Now we're going to do a half treble UK or half double US in the next 6 stitches. 1, 5, 6. Now we'll do a double crochet UK or single crochet US in the next 17 stitches. 1, 2, 17. Okay, now we're working back the other way, so 6 half trebles UK, half doubles US. 1, 5, 6. Now we're going to do 10 trebles UK, doubles US. 1, 9, 2, 10, and we should be back at our chain space, which we are. So again, we're going to work our stitches into the chain space. We've got 5 chains of 5 stitches. It's even more tricky through a camera, trust me. 1, 2, I'm poking my hook down through that bottom loop. 3, 4, 5. Now we'll do a treble UK, double US in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's our side. So the next stitch should be the middle of our 5 stitch corner, which it is right there. That's where we're going to work our corner, and our corner is treble, chain 2, treble UK, or double, chain 2, double US. So let's go chain 2 in that same stitch, and then we have our first side and corner done. I'll work around, meet back here, and we've got one more round to go, which is really easy. Okay, so here we are back around at the end of round 35. I've done my 7 stitches. Now I just need to do one in the same place as our first stitch, which is where that stitch marker is. So pop it in there. Chain 1, join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US. Move that stitch marker through. Okay, we've got one round to go, and it's a super duper easy one. It is a double crochet round, or single crochet round if you're US. So we start with a stitch over our joining stitch, then we just do one in every stitch all the way along. A corner is a stitch, chain 2, a stitch. So I'm not going to show you much more than that. I'll just come around and show you when I join up at the end, and we'll be all done. Okay, here we are at the very end. I've done a single crochet UK, US, or double crochet US. Ah, goodness me. I have done a double crochet UK, a single crochet US all the way around. In each corner I have done 1 stitch, chain 2, 1 stitch. I'm back at the start again, where I am going to do another stitch, and this time, because it's the end, I'm going to chain 2 and join with a slip stitch to our first stitch. And there we have it. Let's see if I can lay it out on my So mine is about 20 inches across in this 8-ply wool. I've also made it in cotton, in a single colour. It's the same size, about 20 inches across. Yeah, so there we go. So off you go. Give them a quick block when you're done. Just pin them out on a foam board or some towels and squirt them with steam from your iron, and it will be nice and flat, ready for joining. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks with join.